Angelina. Thank you so much for joining us today for this exclusive interview with People Matters in ServiceNow. It's great to have you here with us.
Hi, Rana. So good to see you. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. So, please allow me to briefly introduce you before we move on to our very much awaited interview. Angelina Chua is the Vice President, Human Resources at Comfort Delgro. She has a rich experience of over 20 years in the HR domain across geographies, including Asia Pacific, the United States, and Europe. In the last 2 decades, she has spearheaded the HR function for organizations in the likes of Semcorp Industries, Oshkosh Corporation, and YAOS. A strong advocate of talent development, Angelina believes in the immense positive contributions people can bring to an organization when cared for and constantly engaged. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to get started with the questions we have curated for you, Angelina. So, my very first question for you is, as a talent leader, what factors are shaping your outlook towards the new ways of working in the emerging hybrid workplace?
Okay, sure. I think this is a great question for us to start the conversation. I think there are three key things that we are constantly, having to grapple with. The first one is speed. I think in a constant, moving in and out, of different stages of, alerts in terms of the living together. Um, with the pandemic, we are having to be able to scale up our communications quickly. So I will say that speed is definitely one factor that we will consider. Second one will be agility. With speed, I think we have to couple with agility. So we have to be agile and be ready to be flexible about things and to be able to work around these two factors, hand in hand. And the third one will be really, besides having speed, agility, we also need to look at, how can we bring fresh perspective to and do away with the traditional things that we've been doing all this while. We need to be creative. So I would say that the three factors that I would place emphasis are speed, agility, and also the last one which I mentioned. So I think these three will be important for us to look at.
Right. Thank you for that. So, speed,
Creativity, yeah, absolutely.
creativity. Speed, agility, and creativity. All right, that's great.
Right.
So, when we talk about digital workflows in especially a hybrid workplace today, so how do you see the role of digital workflow solutions in making workplace communication more efficient, especially cross-functional communication? And like you rightly mentioned, what speed, agility, and creativity, and a lot of that depends on how our workforce now interacts in the current, working environment. So, how do you think can digital workflow solutions help improve the situation and contribute to better communication and collaboration?
Okay, I guess the current states call for us to do things very differently. We have a group of employees who are always in office. They are kind of like termed as the essential services. And there is a group of employees who are working from home because their work allows them to work from home. And there is another group of employees who are link, in between workplaces. So they are sometimes in office, sometimes, at home. So when dealing with workforce solutions, I think this is an area where we can harness something that, whether you're at office, or you're at home, you're able to access and you're able to create a seamless, kind of flow of information and bring solutions to employees no matter where you are. So I guess in terms of having this platform, to bring all our employees together and to be able to let them have access no matter where they are, I would say that is absolutely critical.
Right. I completely agree that especially the part that you mentioned about the flow of information, it's really important to keep that going, especially as all of us work, like you rightly said, some of us are still on site. Some of our roles permit us to work from home. So to keep that balance and ensure that consistency and flow of information. All right. So that's great to hear your insights on digital workflows, Angelina. And I would love to understand what is Comfort Delgro doing in particular? What are they doing differently to enhance cross-functional collaboration for a distributed workforce?
Okay, so we are in very much into digital transformation. There are a lot of initiatives, and these are continuously, and ongoing. we have implemented quite a number of different platforms, different workflow solutions. So, for example, in the case of procurement, we have a system called Compass, and this basically, whatever things that you need to purchase, you go through this system and it flows, automatically, to whoever needs to have oversight of the purchase. So this is one example, and we do have ongoing working on other projects, and in fact we are also digitalizing all our forms and trying to do away with a lot of manual processes. Again, when we are moving in and out of working from offices, we can't really always rely on the manual paper flow. So that will be another ongoing process improvement that we are working on. So just to cite you some examples of what we are, what we have been planning and working on. So the other thing is that with so many, then the other things that come with all this digitalization and transformation is that you end up having quite a number of different systems and different kind of workflows for different methods. Then we need to tie back with communication, and how do we put all this into a single platform and explain to employees, where to get them, where to have access, what are these, used for. We have different applications, different workflow from different things. So you need to be able to tell them, okay, these are like, when you go to a restaurant, right, you need to choose, you have a menu, you need to choose, what you want. And then you need to be able to also tell them, okay, so how are these going to help you to facilitate, and to work more effectively and efficiently. So I guess it's the kind of putting things together. You have so many things to choose from. Yeah, but this is where you can get all of this and have information. So I guess that is quite critical, because once you have the workflow systems in place, if you don't educate and you don't communicate to the employees, they may not know that these are available, or they may struggle, especially for new hires. They may not know how to get help, or what to do for each of these different processes. So I guess ultimately putting things together and communicating is still important.
Right. Thank you for that. And I think some really interesting initiatives that Comfort Agro is working towards. And I especially like the part that you mentioned about, providing employees with that menu of, resources that they can have access to in today's times. So thank you for that. Now moving on to our second last question for you, Angelina. So what are some ways employers can make business agility and operational excellence a reality for a distributed workforce?
Okay, in terms of this, right, I think again, we have to think about a different group of employees and what are their needs. For example, if you look at somebody who is really on the ground, their needs might be very different from people who are always, working in office. So we have to cater to a different group of employees, and at the same time, bearing in mind that we are multi generational, we are like operating with five generations altogether. We might need to kind of like cater different solutions, look at the needs, and to study these needs and to be able to customize the solution, to make sure that it's workable across the different generations, across the different workforce. Yeah, I think that is something that we can't just take one solution and try to implement and just ask employee to accept them as it is. So we try to make it more something that once we implement, there is really a buy-in, and they can use the system to really help them to be effective. So it's not like you're going into digitalization, doing into workflow, because obviously there is a need. However, we have to also make sure that once it's implemented, it's a good use of the workflow and the system.
Right. Thank you for that. I think that's really important, especially the last point that you bring up about the implementation aspect of it and understanding that it's not just about bringing in technology, but ensuring that that's something that's relevant to the employees that we are offering, right? And personalizing it so that it actually delivers the purpose it's being brought in for. All right. So that now brings me to my very last question for you, Angelina. If you could offer one piece of advice for leaders in the new world of work to improve workforce and workflow management, what would that be?
This is a great question. I would say that we are now in the state where, because of the ongoing pandemic, there are a lot of rush into digitalization, into trying to bring a lot of manual processes, and try to digitalize them. I think in this rush state that we are in, we may tend to be overwhelmed because there are really a lot of solutions out there, and there are many things that we need to besides, of course, digitalization is one aspect of work that we are looking at. We also have to really look at helping our people. Mental health, mental illness is something that we want to also place a little bit of focus on. So in a world of multiple priorities, we want to really also be able to look at which are the solutions that is going to be most useful for the business. What is the system that is going to really bring value to the business and to the employee? Essentially, they are the key stakeholders because they are the one using the system. So I guess we try to pace ourselves also, not to rush into, okay, we want to do everything at one time. So I think that's not quite possible. We try to prioritize in a way that we look at which are really the one that is going to bring most value. So we will put more focus and emphasis, and we try to get that up to speed first. Whereas, those that, probably we are still doing well, although it can be enhanced, maybe those we can do it at a later stage. So we try to pace out and try to make sure that whatever we are doing is something that everybody will find. Again, I can't emphasize more that it has to be useful. People see value in them, and not just, we're trying to bring another system and, try to get people to use it. So that would be my advice. So try to really look at the needs of the people. I think that should be the priority, and that should be carefully evaluated before implementing or going for any solutions.
Thank you so much for that, Angelina. So, if I get that right, of course, looking towards what people really need and striking that balance between business needs and employee needs at the same time. So, thank you so much for that. Thank you for your time and invaluable insights. There's sure a lot to learn from you. Like you rightly said, the three factors shaping the emerging hybrid workplace landscape, which is speed, agility, and creativity, and at the same time ensuring a consistent flow of information across a distributed workforce, and of course making sure that you're not just bringing in technology but personalizing it to make it relevant for our end users, which are our employees. So thank you so much for that, and uh, there's a lot to learn, and thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.